scientist.
James getting suggestions from you, because I might say something.
One of the things that I've noticed over the years in trying to enforce regulations and rules in the area is on a group of industries and individuals who hold their independence above virtually anything around them. Is the almost impossible challenge that's presented in trying to cause an industry to follow a certain type of or certain model that shows that you could still pursue this business or occupation and yet generate significantly less impact on the environment around you. And I'll use a couple of examples that I've seen personally. Dairies. We have some really well-run, low-emission dairies in this community. We also have some very horribly run, high-emission dairies in this community. The only way that I can see that we can force those in these poorly run, high-emission parts of the industry is to create some kind of penalty. Because those folks who are running great enterprises got there somehow. They managed to get the money, and they're not all big corporate dairies. Many of them are small to moderate dairy people, especially up in the northern part of the valley, where you see these really great, well-run industries. Now, the second example is in pruning. I'll go right to say it, because I got to see this personally, where I got to see an example of an almond orchard, where the person who owns the almond orchard chose to shred his trimmings, and then chop them, and then disc them into the ground, right into the rows between the trees. Yeah, he didn't haul them anywhere, take them anywhere else, anything like that. He disced them in, and then in the next set of acreage over, about 150 acres away, was another almond operation. This guy had taken all of that stuff, piled it all up, and was burning it. So again, these practices, there are practices out there that people are using now. I don't know if he used a really filthy engine when he shredded up those branches and a filthy tractor to go down and disc those rows. I don't know that site. I can't speak to that. That may be the wild card there. But it just seems to me there needs to be more ability of the local air district, especially, and certainly CARB when it comes to mobile sources, to enforce some of these best practice models on large-scale industries that have the most significant impact on the air quality around us. Otherwise, you're just holding them up with shining lights. Look, if you just did this, it would be great. And they go, that's fine, but I don't really want to do that.
You may be talking about Arkansas or something like that, but in San Joaquin Valley.
I was just there this Monday, so I saw it for shredding.
Right. In San Joaquin Valley, we have the toughest regulations on farming anywhere in the nation and the dairies. And I think it really does disservice to take one isolated example and try to build policy based on worst case scenarios or accuse farmers to all be in that bunch where they just want to do anything. My experience with farmers in San Joaquin Valley is that they see themselves as stewards of the earth, and they want to do the best they can to take care of their situation. But every farm is different. I don't know what the exact those anecdotal situations that you're bringing up. What limitations they had in terms of having the ability and space to the material lender and what their farm needs were. But as you know, we have best management practices that we actually require all farmers to engage in, and we do enforce that. We do inspect. We're the only place in the nation that actually permits farms and inspects them and dairies and makes these regulations up. And that's an ongoing effort. And I don't know. I don't want to say every single farmer how they operate, but I can tell you that burning, when it comes to burning, farmers don't like burning. If they have any other alternatives, they will go to that. It's not that they just don't care and want to do burning, but at the end of the day, they have some real limitations. It's a world market where they don't set their own prices, and they have to pay or get whatever they get for their product. So we're doing quite a bit, and we do enforce them, and as we move forward with these tougher standards, as you know, we are continually adding to the list of controls that they have to put in place. So I'm not sure exactly what you were getting at, Kevin.
I'm sorry you misunderstood when I thought I spoke so clearly and everybody around could see that.
You must be a one-handed scientist. I don't know.
I wasn't suggesting, by the way, that, and I would appreciate if you clarified that I was not suggesting that all farmers are in some way, shape, or form
not inclined to use best practices. Pointing out specific examples of industries where there is no standard practice across the industry, and there are examples of great standards and people who use them, so that is a group of farmers, by the way. And there are examples of those who choose not to. And the practices, the regulations you're speaking of may seem stringent to you, but they're obviously not getting at the root cause of the problem, and we still see people who can either evade or choose not to use certain practices, or possibly the number or list of choices that we're calling best practices needs to be worked on further. I think that's what you were alluding to, that the work is not done there and probably needs to continue in that area, or am I misrepresenting your statement?
No, you're right. I mean, if you look at the stationary sources other than ag, we've been regulating them for decades, and we're on the 4th, 5th, 6th iteration of rules on these businesses. And for the farming industry, the process has just begun in the last 5-10 years, and we're only on the 2nd generation of rules as opposed to the 4th, 5th for them. So things will continue, but I'm hoping as we go through the whole process of putting these plans together to get some real facts and statistics and data, and obviously we're always looking for ways to improve our approach, but we really need to focus our resources where it matters. And for instance, when we talk about dairies, one of the questions that we really have to deal with is the VOC emissions. The modeling here in the valley shows that reducing VOC emissions gets you very little reductions in ozone, and we are a NOx limited region because of the chemical balance that we have and all the biogenic emissions that we have. And I'm not counting dairies as biogenic emissions. We have a lot of biogenic VOCs that will continue to generate ozone even if we shut down all the dairies, for instance. So if resources are limited, do we spend them on controlling VOCs from dairies, or spend the money to clean a few trucks and get more NOx reductions in emissions? So those are some of the questions that I'm hoping as we go through this process to deal with and be able to find an approach that makes sense.
Okay, we've got another question over here.
Well, buenas tardes. My name is Ray Leon. I've been involved in the Lakin project, and I think there's a huge problem in the San Joaquin Valley, and I would have to say that perhaps in the state and other parts of the nation, but of course we're here in the valley and we're fighting for cleaner air, but under the illusion that our air is getting cleaner, what we are seeing in environmental justice communities is actually it's getting dirty. We're getting more pump source or pollution sources into the community, and what's facilitating that is some of the policies, some of the regional policies, such as the emissions reduction credits. In this case, what's happened already, I'm sure a lot of, I don't know how many times, but what's happened, at least in the case of the power plants out there by Fireball, about 420 megawatts, which accounts for tons and tons of bacteria pollutants. That the way they were able to make that happen is they were able to pull credits from at least 2 different areas in the San Joaquin Valley, up north and down south.